Welcome to Cars Retro Reviews. I know what you're thinking, what the fuck? You promised me you wouldn't make a habit out of intros without your shirt. It's getting a little warm, summer has been and gone, but it still feels fucking hot. Anyway, the point about this is, I got a haircut. The problem with this haircut is that I've also got a receding hairline, which is going further and further back. And the problem with having this haircut is now you can actually see the light reflection of my fucking head right there in the light. Every time I do the whole, like, every time I look at my receding hairline, all I can think of is this.
Your Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable.
Before I start this review, have a look at this fucking intro video. Keep it in mind that this is a pinball game. It has a dark edge to it, and while that's cool and everything, it certainly is the wrong sort of mood for a pinball game. If this was going to be some kind of dramatic, edgy, psychological thriller, then you've started something better than that fucking dreadful movie Perfect Stranger. The only way to make that film better is by giving yourself a welcome stranger while watching it. Which wouldn't be that hard too, since it has Halle Berry in it. The only hot chick that manages to work her way out of movies. You were hot as storm, and that's about all I'll remember you for. Before I get to the meat of this sandwich I call a second-rate attempt at a review, I'm sorry for the strong language, but I wrote this stroke of brilliance, which usually involves a masturbation joke when I talk about any sort of stroke that's not a heart attack. But I was about 2 sentences away from finishing, and my computer blue screened like a complete cunt. As someone who advocates saving regularly, this is karma on a big scale for those times I turn my nose up to other users who never backed up stuff and then cry a river when it fails them and then blames either their IT department or starts some rant on why technology is so shit when in fact the problem was your ignorance and complete lack of knowledge. Talking about complete lack of knowledge, Necronomicon is a pinball game, and while I fucking love pinball games like Women Like Shoes, or Dick, or Periods, or whatever the fuck, I have no idea on how to review this game. At the very least, I can come forward and say, this is a good game. Whenever I review a game, I sometimes talk about the story. It's fucking pinball. What story? Fine. Graphically, this is a nice game, as I've played many a pinball game, and while I was thinking about that, it pretty much struck me as what makes this game so much better than the laxative-induced shits that are the other inferior pinball games. I take a hard line with pinball games that aren't actual pinball machines. The real machine is always nearly an excellent experience, but pinball video games can be a bit swing and a miss. What is weird about the Saturn is it has like 5 pinball games, this one perhaps being the best, if not one of the best, for the console. Yet, the Saturn only has one bowling game that sucks semen out of a dick like there's cure for cancer in my balls. On top of that, you have heaps of American football games, soccer games, and just too many sports games to choose from. But you just couldn't give me another bowling game that is actually half good? But I digress. This is not about sports or how the Saturn should have had more bowling games, because they have plenty of other genres, including pinball. There's like 4 or 5 pinball games for the console, and this could perhaps be the most interesting of all the other games. I didn't say it was better, but now that I mention it, yes, this game is good. In fact, I would say it's more than that. So, what makes a poor pinball game? The first thing you notice is the menu. I don't think in the history of pinball games I've gone, holy shit! Look at that menu! It makes me wet just by navigating it! I know you hear this often, and I'll try and be a little bit more creative on how to assess the menus in the future. The game has 3 tables to choose from, which I think's a little bit piss poor. When I reach for criticisms like, there's not enough of this, you can just assume I had a good time, and like a dog on heat, I want to continue humping the fuck out of this leg. Another thing worth mentioning is that it only takes a little bit to make any pinball game a good game. So when you get a shit one, oh boy do I get super cranky, and unfortunately I know 1 or 2 shitty pinball games on the Sega Saturn. Whether I'll admit to it when it comes to crunch time, and casually forget I said something like this, like some hypocrite who says they fucking hate Justin Bieber, but then go on to follow him wherever he goes and take more interest in his life than someone who really dislikes him by ignoring his existence, will remain to be seen. The sound in this game is quite interesting. I've read many times that John Petrucci, hang on, is that how you pronounce it? Petrucci. Petrucci? Well, let's just say John from Dream Theater did the music for this game, but in fact, he only did the intro movie and epilogue. It even says right in the info during the load screens. But regardless on this fact, it's still really good music for a pinball game. It has multi-ball, which people have pointed that out to me like it's something special, but you need to calm the fuck down. I'll be doing the review, thank you. Multi-ball is nice. There. Your contribution was noted. Would I recommend this game? Fuck yes. This is a must-have if you dig pinball games. As I go along and I play other pinball games, you'll notice that it is not only superior to other Saturn pinball games, but also other pinball games of this era, full stop. And it won't cost you an arm and a leg in the process. As always, thank you very much for watching. Click on the TV to see the last review, and click on the name underneath the television if you'd like to subscribe.